Welcome to another episode of How to Adult with Travis Walker. Today's episode is all about, do I have to leave my hometown to be successful? Do I have to leave my hometown to build the business I've been dreaming about? Do I have to leave my hometown to find the love of my life? My good friend from high school is coming on the show to tell us all of these things, give his perspective on all of these topics because he's doing it. He is in his hometown area and he is building his business. He found the love of his life. He started a family. He has a home in the area. He is doing an amazing thing. And as he says, he's achieving the American dream. And so this is an incredible episode. You're gonna want to listen to this. If you are listening to this, y'all, share this on Instagram and Facebook and tag me at HowToAdultTW, and I'll make sure that you get a shout out on social media. With all that being said, y'all, let's get into the show and learn how to adult. All right, Colby Knox, good morning to you, and how are you doing? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing beautiful, Travis. It's so good to see your face.
It's so good to see your face. It all started in, what was that, sophomore English? I don't even remember the lady's name. I do remember she believed in aliens, though.
Word, Miss Bond.
Yes, Miss Bond. That's exactly who it is.
Miss
Uh,
Bond. Yes, sir.
it's where it all started over at Westbrook Senior High School. Oh gosh, it's been so long. We'll skip that. But Colby is coming on the show to talk about a really incredible subject of you do not have to leave your hometown to be successful. And so I think this is a really interesting subject. I obviously did leave my hometown and achieve some type of success. And so I think that we're going to have a really good conversation. But before we get to that, let's give the listeners a little bit about you. What part of the world do you live in? How old are you? And then what do you do for work?
I am originally from Beaumont, Texas. I live in Silsbee, Texas now. I'm 23 years old, about to be 24 in a couple, maybe about a week.
Nice.
And we I am a multimedia specialist for BISD. So I mainly concern myself with like marketing, graphic design, video creation, photography, things of that nature. Um, and I own a production company called Knox Media. And
Wow.
so that's what I do in my spare time.
Nice, nice. What does Knox Media produce? What kind of stuff are you producing over there?
I mean, same concept as what I do for BISD. I mean, really, it's just you need, anything from I'll video your wedding to make you a TV commercial, or a logo for your small business, and everything in between.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. I remember when you got the job at Beaumont ISD, and I was like, yes, that was so cool. I was really excited for you. So to get just a baseline for our conversation, I feel like we need to start off with defining what success is. And so I'd like to talk to you about what is your definition of success so that we're having the same conversation.
That's interesting that you asked that. Um, I think that your definition of success constantly evolves as you get older. I don't think that we ever really we reach it in some form, but you never satisfy yourself. I don't think, and I think that life would be awfully boring if we were ever just completely satisfied. So for me right now, I mean, success is doing what I like to do every day when I get up and being able to pay my bills and, make my family comfortable. That's success to me. I mean, I built a little life for myself out here. I'm pretty young, so it's obviously like just being able to take care of my family. That's my definition of success. For somebody who's single or maybe just has a significant other, maybe your definition is different, but man, when I get those bills paid every month and fridge is full and every my success right there, and I'm accomplishing it while doing what I love.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that we have very similar Very similar definitions of success. I think that for young folk, we're doing pretty well in terms of what society says what success is, but we don't care what they say. Let's see what our next question is. There are a ton of articles out there. As I was preparing for this episode, I was reading a lot of articles, and all of these articles were talking about the benefits of leaving your hometown to grow and be successful. Do you agree, or do you have a different theory about leaving your hometown and about or about moving away from your hometown?
So here's my take on that. I'll say that by no means am I knocking the idea of leaving your hometown to pursue other opportunities. Obviously, sometimes it's not a I don't mean to say this and like use it as like a blanket statement. It's there's plenty of situations where moving from your hometown is a completely viable and understandable option. Most wanted to talk to you about today is like, I don't know, being open to the idea of building something versus stepping into a role. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah, absolutely. Expand upon it a little bit.
I think I think a lot of young people, whenever they get out of college, you know, you haven't been in the workforce yet. You don't have that experience. And so really like a your idea of a good position is somewhere where the goals and expectations have already been pre-established, and you can just kind of step in and have someone there to kind of point you in the correct direction because you're
Right.
completely new to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having a position that's like completely predefined, what the expectations are, you know what what success means as it applies to this new role that you've stepped into. For a lot of people, you know, that's comforting to have those like guidelines, and you'll find that in bigger cities, you have these positions already cut out for people. There have already been people that have been in those positions previously. And so, what the baseline is, you have somebody to guide you if you need help, and you have clear goals and expectations. Something that's a little scarier for people our age is stepping into a role and defining what you think that role should be. Maybe there's not a guideline. Maybe there's not a foundation already there, for what that role is supposed to be and what it could be.
Right.
And it's a completely different challenge and a totally reasonable option to enter less established and get in there and define like, okay, what do I want my role in this organization to be? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love those kind of roles. The kind of roles where you just get to step in and do whatever you want and build from the ground up, I think are some of the best positions that you can take because you learn so much and you gain all these skills that are kind of soft skills. You're gaining some hard skills as well, but there's a lot of soft skills and stepping into a role and building that from the ground up. I think that that's really cool. Is that what your role was with BISD, or was that a pretty set role?
Well, see, that's I guess I don't want to apply my situation to everyone else's because obviously every job is different. But really, yeah, like that's kind of what happened is I applied for this role, and the job expectations seemed pretty clear cut to me, and it seemed uh it seemed like it fit my description.
Right.
And whenever I got there, you know I entered a place where they really didn't have a whole lot of experienced help in this particular area that I work in. They were happy to just get somebody to hit record on a camera and just try to document. the
Right.
things going on at BIST, and and pardon me, recording important communications and stuff from the executives and from the superintendent. They were just happy to have someone to have a body to hit
Right.
record. And so when I got there, I basically took it as like a blank canvas, because I've got a lot of special skills that I've developed over the years, with photography and video. And I just got in there and I started learning as much as I could, as quickly as I could, to tune to the team as high as I could possibly elevate it. And I'd say it took me a good year to really get in the zone. But, somebody in my position, like, they don't need me to do to go to the extent that I do with my work at
Right.
in my position. They don't need that. I mean, it's not necessary. I could get by with a lot less, but I choose to go above and beyond with my work,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to show them something that could be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that that's
You
really
know,
good.
it's like, look, I know we could get by with this, but look at what we could be, and here's why it would be beneficial. Because the just wasn't, it was, completely lackluster, just totally functional. And I've
Right.
taken the communications that we do via video, you know, and I've turned it into a full movie production. And and I just did that because nobody told me to do that,
Right.
and nobody told me that they needed that. I decided, okay, we're going to push this as far as it'll go. As long as they'll support me, we're going to push it as far as it'll go. And I'm still pushing, I'm still every day trying to figure out ways, like, how can we improve this any further? And
Yeah.
so in a lot of ways, I got to kind of define my role once they saw what I could do, when they trusted me, and they, maybe invested in equipment that I recommended, or saw, okay, he's getting results. They start to trust you. They start to believe in your ability, and let you guide them.
So I think you're spot on in your notion of how do you advance quickly? How do you get a promotion? How do you make more money? How do you just earn the respect of the people that you work for? And I've heard on a podcast several times of, if you walk in as an employee and you are taking ownership, if you walk in and take ownership of that role and of that business and act like it's yours, that's a really good way to move up and make sure that they're going to trust you in the role that you're in. And so I think that you're spot on in your approach, and I think that you're doing really good things. But just jumping back to our conversation about hometowns, what were the benefits specifically for you to stay in your hometown area? Because I mean, Beaumont and Silsby, they're close, but they're not exactly the same thing. But what were the benefits for you?
Well, I mean, truth be told, it was, at the time, you know, it really wasn't a viable option for me to try and move somewhere else to try to begin a career, because, as you know, we had my daughter, me and my wife had my daughter in my junior year of college. So, I mean, I was in a total, like, bum rush to, okay, I got to get this degree. I got to locate some reliable housing,
Right.
and I got to figure out my place in this town. I had to figure out, where is my career going to start? Where do I go from here? Because, we couldn't leave that family support system that was here for us.
Right.
And I mean, and in a lot of ways, even if you're not, trying to raise a child, there's a lot of benefits to being in the place where you have the most connections and
Mm,
the best support system around you, because it, I mean, obviously, family is a different matter. Family is important for obvious reasons.
right.
But, whenever you move to a new place, you have to establish uh that whole connection. You know, you have to establish connections wherever you go. And, when you move to a new place, you may have to start from the ground up again,
Right.
and you and you and I both know that, connections, that's how you move up, in your
Right.
career, or that's how you find a path forward, is through connections, through knowing people, because that's everything. Having people to vouch for you and that know you and trust you and have seen your work. And so I think that was the big benefit for me is, my dad's a small business owner, and anybody will tell you there's not a single you can walk up to a random person on the street in Beaumont, Texas, and the likelihood that they know my father through his business is is substantial.
Right.
It's substantial. Um, and so because of that, I also know a lot of people because my dad introduces me to everyone. And so I had a pretty good network going, as far as like who my family knew and who I knew through my freelance work, and who I knew through college. You've still got that support network of, you know, college professors and people that you met in college who live here in the community and work professionally. You've got that advantage.
Right.
And so I think that was the big benefit for me. Funny story. Our high school principal, Randall Maxwell,
Oh, good gosh.
is one of the only people that wrote me a recommendation letter for this job that I'm in.
Wow.
And he was also my elementary school principal. But that's just an example of, like, the benefit. And I reached out to him. He's been a good family friend for a long time, and obviously we know him through school. And I was like, Mr. Maxwell, would you consider writing me a recommendation letter? And he did it without hesitation. And so
Yeah.
that's just a perfect example, why it's important to have a good network.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just adding on to that, Randy Maxwell is one of my dad's good friends from high school. And so it, just hometown connections, making this argument of hometown connections, I think that's really strong. And when I moved away, I definitely felt that of I've got to restart, and I feel like I had to work harder to make those connections in a new area, and I ended up doing that just fine. But it definitely we had to work harder, and I think that you know, we may have a cop out, me and my wife, because we're living in an outskirt of her hometown, and so I'm not living in my hometown, but we're living in my wife's hometown, and so maybe we hit a cheat code there. But that's spot on in your thought process there. So why do you think people feel like they have to leave their hometown to be successful? So many people, so many articles that I read said you have to move away from your hometown to be successful and grow. Why do people feel that way?
That's a good question. I would say that the answer to that question is multifaceted. There's layers to that. I think part of it is stigma. I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is preconception, a preconceived idea that somehow, if you had a choice about where you if some if you had a choice, you could take your pick where you wanted to end up, it wouldn't be where you are right now.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
They think that they belong somewhere else, or if they could have made the choice themselves, they would have, um, you know, they would have been in an Austin or a Dallas
Yeah.
or, a Houston. But I'm here to tell you, Beaumont, Texas is a good place to be.
Right.
It's a beautiful place to be. And I think, you know, I also think that it's not understanding, not understanding the job market
Ooh,
where you're
interesting.
where you're from,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, because obviously, it's great whenever you can hop on Glassdoor or LinkedIn and search positions in my area and 100 come up with the exact job title that you're looking for.
Right.
Obviously, that's a very comforting thing. Like, oh, I've got options. And it's a disheartening thing when you get out of college and you're on these, networking websites trying to figure out where you belong, and nothing's coming up in your area. You're searching for what you're looking for and you're not being shown what you want to find. Um,
Right.
you know, uh, and I'm not gonna say that I wasn't, it didn't make me nervous whenever I got out of college and I was like, wow, my options are limited here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the difference between having it served up to you. It circles back to what I was saying is it's about building something versus walking in the door and having something handed to you.
Wow. Yeah.
It's the difference between building something and just having the torch passed to you. And
Right.
a lot of people want to have the torch passed to them, and the idea of building something is maybe a little bit intimidating, or it seems like maybe it's not possible, or
Right.
you won't be able to um, reach all of your goals if you have to start building something from the ground up. Um, but I think it's a lot of that. I think it comes with a certain level of anxiety. Um,
Right.
you know, Knowing that there's not somewhere in your hometown where, somebody's ready to pass you the torch.
Right.
And I think that gives people like a new city, I guess it feels like possibilities, you know?
It feels that way. Yeah.
It feels like possibilities. It feels like your hometown is the comfortable familiar, and a new place is possibilities. But I'm here to tell you there's a lot more to be discovered about the opportunities in your hometown than than you probably realize. And and it takes more work. It takes digging. And it's like you have to have motivation to stay in the place that you want to be. I'm not saying it's right for everybody,
Right.
but if you have motivation to stay where you are, don't get peer pressured into picking up and moving.
Right. Right.
Don't feel like you're out of options and that you have to move to go chase your dreams. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Because you can build it. And so, but you're asking me to be motivated, Colby? You're asking me to work hard? Ugh, that sounds terrible.
God forbid.
I know. I know it. Oh my gosh. So you mentioned this word stigma, which is what one of the things that I wanted to talk about. And so I'm going to jump a little bit and ask you, what's the biggest challenge about staying in your hometown? And is there any stigma, which you've mentioned this stigma, that you have had to overcome with staying in your hometown area?
Oh, give me a second on that one. Okay. I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna try to talk in blanket terminology.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you this answer as it relates to me. Um, because I do have a very oddly specific career, and so my answer may not apply to everybody. But I guess my challenge that I probably had to overcome working in the field that I do,
Yeah.
producing videos and, you know, content, is this more so applies to a lot of creative positions, just period. Whenever you're a professional that is also a creative, your job is a creative position. I think a lot of times the small town mindset has kind of a negative effect on people's willingness to invest in you and trust in the work that you do, because they haven't been exposed to people who work in these creative industries that operate on a high level. They're used to your out of high school, college kids, working as maybe like a hobbyist, like the guy that'll shoot your senior photos for
Wow.
$75, um or somebody, who makes videos for fun, and maybe,
Right.
you would consider letting them take a whack at like making you something for your small business's social media page or something like that. It's like people almost have this concept that, you know I feel like unless you can really prove yourself and you have a portfolio, people are less likely to look at you as a legitimate professional whenever you do creative work in a small town. It They don't treat you the same as other types of professionals. I mean, you really got to earn your spot. You got to show them what you can do, and you got to get results, because people are hesitant to
Right.
whenever somebody approaches you with an idea, uh, and you go to quote them, you get a lot of, um,
Right.
let me get back to you.
I can see that.
You get a lot of, let me get back to you. And it's like, you don't understand. If you went to Houston to try to pay someone to do what I'm doing for you right now on the level that I'm doing it, there's, I mean, you might think that my quote's intimidating. Go to the
Oh yeah.
professional in Houston. Go to the professional in Houston and see what they say. Ask them for the same thing and tell me what they say, because I guarantee you it's going to be a whole lot scarier than what I'm proposing.
Right. Right. Oh, the creative industry is so interesting, and I have a lot of friends in the creative industry, and so I can definitely see being in a smaller town. Beaumont is not really small. I mean, but in a smaller town, people not really understanding the value of these things. Whereas if you're in the Austin area, like I am, there's huge media agencies that will charge thousands of dollars, and so I can see that there being an additional challenge if you're in one of these smaller towns and want to be a creative professional, that you have to work a little bit harder. How have you done that? How have you opened people's eyes into, I'm providing you a high level product for not really a high level price. How have you opened people's eyes?
Do stuff for free.
Interesting. Not the response I
Do
was thinking.
do stuff for free. And I mean, a lot of, um, I think a lot of people, especially in photography and video, I can't speak for the other industries, but especially for photography and video, when you want to make connections, establish yourself, get people to trust you, do stuff without asking,
Mm,
or reach out to people. Don't don't reach out to people and say, "Hey, I'd like to make you a commercial for $500." Don't say that.
no.
Say, "Hey, I would like to make you a commercial. Can I, can I show you what I can do?" Find something, find something that interests you and reach out. Look for something attainable. Reach out to a small business on Facebook. You know, reach out to someone who's maybe maybe needs help creating, maybe they're already working in a creative field or working on something creative, but you have a different skill set and maybe you can add to what they're doing.
Right.
Reach out to them, show up places and do stuff without asking, and then show people after. I can't tell you the number of times that I've shown up to events and just happened to have my camera with me, shoot some stuff, make a 2-minute edit, and send them 20 photos and look and be like, hey, I just made this stuff, and you're welcome to have it. I own a media production company. Get in touch with me sometime if you need anything, and just give it to them.
Wow. Wow.
And that is how you show people goodwill, and that's how you get people to trust you and believe in you, and also let you uh you know that's how you get people to give you a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
um
that.
but caveat to that, you got to draw boundaries.
Ooh. How have
You have to draw
how have you
boundaries.
drawn boundaries?
Well, um I would say I would say whenever I do stuff for free, uh, I don't do stuff for free more than once.
Right.
You're not gonna catch me going to the same organization or the same client and showing up again to do something for free the second time.
Right.
You're not gonna find me doing that. After I do it the first time, I'll get in touch with the person, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm Colby Knox. I made this stuff for you. You're welcome to have it. I own a production company. You know, if you never ever need anything in the future, get in touch with me, and we can. I'll quote you, or we can talk pricing.
Yeah.
Let people know I'm a professional, and I had the intent to charge you
Mhm.
at some point in the future, but that's completely up to you.
Right.
That's completely up to you. It's on the table. You don't have take it or leave it. That's fine. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. But um but next time, let's talk details. Let me show you a price sheet
Yeah.
or something.
Let's create it next time. I like that. You're changing my whole perspective on outreach, and so that I'm learning a lot here. And it feels like I'm walking through Parkdale Mall, if that's still a thing, and they're offering me a sample at Chick-fil-A or something. And that's what you're doing. You're offering a sample of your work so that I'll come in and I'll buy your chicken sandwich. And so
You gotta hustle. You gotta
yeah,
hustle.
that's really good.
That's I mean people like to use the word hustle a lot, but I think that's a very honest and true definition of hustling. You're the man on the street. Like, you are on the streets, making contacts with people, you know, pushing your brand and pushing yourself as a professional, and you're making contact with the community. You're playing on the offensive
Right.
versus the defensive. And that's what you got to do. Like, that's what you have to do in a town like this. You have to be on offense. You have to be the one that makes the effort. You can't wait for people.
Ooh.
You have to make the effort.
So good, so good. If we're if we're not learning anything, we're learning how to be a hard worker from you, because you're just out here grinding, and you are, people. I think you're right. I think hustle is a buzzword that people overuse and under deliver on what that word means. And I think that you are an example of what hustling, what grinding actually means, and you're actually doing the work. And so that's really impressive. But jumping back into our conversation, have you ever thought that, maybe I need to leave the area, or maybe I need to go somewhere else to move my business, move my life forward? Or has that never even been a thought in your mind, because you're just grinding with all the connections, with all the things that you've got going on? You are just set in what you're doing in your hometown area.
Oh no. I definitely, if I was set on staying here, um, it's like being closed-minded in the opposite direction.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm I'm open to possibilities, and that's what you have to be. There's some people who feel like they can't succeed in a small town. and so they choose to move. You know, that's an example of one type of, closed-mindedness. But me saying, "Oh, I don't need to move to a big town. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it." That's also a different take on that same type of
Wow.
closed-mindedness. I'm open, but I'm not going to consider it until I see it hindering me.
Yeah.
And so far, it's not hindering me. And if I ever grow past the point where, maybe I need to start thinking about it, maybe that's a conversation that, can be had with my family. But for now and the foreseeable future, I don't see a need. And I'm really playing it by ear. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. I think that's really good in seeing the different sides of you can be closed minded in both directions. And so I think that's a really good point. And I don't think it just applies to that question that I just asked you. I think that any question that you're asking yourself as an individual, you should know that there's closed minded on one side and there's closed minded on the other, and you need to find somewhere in the middle to make this actual decision that matters. And so I think that that's really something that I'm going to be taking away from what you're saying here. That's really good.
I think I think that, you know, the the problem is holding on too tightly to whatever preconceptions that you have.
Mm,
Don't hold on to whatever preconceptions that you have too tightly. Always be ready to be wrong.
mm,
Always be ready to be wrong. Or honestly, assume you could be wrong.
I like that.
Assume there's a lot there. Assume that there's, in all likelihood, you could be wrong about whatever you feel convicted about.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta move. This is what I gotta do. This is the only way that I'm gonna succeed. That's conviction,
Right.
but don't hold on too tightly to it. Conviction is important in a lot of facets of life, but assuming that there's something that you probably don't know is one of the best ways to walk through life. Don't walk through life like you understand what's going on around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't walk
That's the whole point of this
don't walk through
podcast.
life like that.
Yeah. I completely agree. That's the whole point of this podcast. I don't know how to adult. Like that's not the point of this. The point of this is for me to learn how to adult and also help other people learn how to adult.
We're all figuring it out as we walk through life, man.
Uh,
We're all figuring it out on the fly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with what you're talking about here. And so I want to jump back to something that you said earlier, which was doing work for free as a small business owner, and I think that's really interesting because I'm producing this content for free, and I think content creators out there don't know the line between I'm going to produce this content for free and I'm producing something valuable that needs to be charged, that I need to charge people for. And so how do you walk that line of I'm producing something valuable and I need to build my portfolio so that people will take me seriously. How do you draw that line in the early stages, and how has that progressed through producing this company that is pretty impressive?
A lot of it has to do with how you feel about yourself,
Mm,
how you view yourself as a professional. Um, you know, I, you can talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk too.
right.
And what I mean by that is, when you go and do something for free and you tell them, hey, get in touch with me if you ever need anything. I can I can show you a price sheet, or I can quote you on a project. That's talking the talk.
Right.
You're showing them, I I get paid to do this, and I I could do this for you if if you want. But walking the walk means whenever they try to lowball you and undersell you and um and treat you like
less than what you're worth, you have to actually stand by that. You have
Ooh.
to actually, I mean, because some people, like I always had the problem where, it's like I would quote someone and they would seem reluctant. And my first instinct is go lower,
Oh, wow.
get the job, go lower. And so it turns into this thing where it's like you're trying to knock down the price to secure the work, but at the same time, you're diminishing your own trust in yourself.
Ooh.
You're like you're telling yourself and the people around you, I think I think this is what I'm worth.
Yeah.
I don't think if they don't want to pay that, I think this is a number that I'm worth. And by you know you are in a passive way showing people that you're not worth as much as you think you are.
Yeah.
It's a passive way. I mean, you it takes some guts to be like, hey, that's fine. I understand. Um, if you want to talk any further about it, just let me know and I'll be here for you.
Yeah. And there's an
I'm
opportunity.
not and I'm not saying you can't negotiate,
Right.
but you know, it's like you have to be ready to you have to be ready to approach other people like your worth.
Right.
You have to be prepared to do that, and that's a learning curve. You know,
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
it feels uncomfortable sometimes um to walk around and let people know like I understand my worth.
Yeah.
It maybe feels pompous or like you're overconfident or something, but in reality, that's just you trusting yourself.
Yeah. And I think that
You
goes to the conversation of self-love and self-trust and self-worth. All of these things go together. And you have to be able to trust yourself to know your worth and to love yourself, right? If you don't trust yourself, those other two things can't happen, right? If I say I'm gonna wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. and work out before work and I don't do it, well, I just broke that trust with myself. And so, how am I going to know my self worth? How am I going to trust myself if I can't even do what I'm going to say that I'm going to do for myself? And then I can't go to other people and assume that they're going to trust me because I don't trust myself. And so I think that you're on the you're saying some really good stuff here. Anything else to add on that?
um I would just say, like you have to exude confidence in your work.
Mm,
It has to be outwardly visible. I mean, you have to command the room. This is a stupid analogy, but it's like clients are kind of like horses, dude. They can sense whenever they can sense that something's
oh
wrong.
yeah,
They can, you know what I'm saying? They can feel it. They can feel your hesitancy or maybe your distrust of yourself or maybe the situation. When you command a situation and you say, this is what I can do for you. Uh, this is a number I'm comfortable with. And you stand firm and you hold yourself, hold your head high. People can feel that.
right,
They know.
yeah,
And it's very important to exude that kind of confidence in yourself, you know, because that's how you get other people to have that same confidence in you. If you want people to believe what you're saying, you got to believe it first.
ooh, that's tough. That's
You,
tough.
you actually have to believe what you are saying.
Well, with that being said, I'm the best podcaster that ever lived. And if you want to put an ad in this show, email me travwalk123 at gmail.com. There's the
M-
confidence that Colby's talking about.
Manifest that. Manifest that, Travis.
Oh my gosh. I think we just did something there. Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. So I want to talk about, but I just want to poke a hole in people's arguments and say, I want you to flex as much as you can right now. What have you been able to accomplish in your life as a young adult with staying in your hometown area? What have you been able to accomplish? Tell me.
Is this where I'm supposed to brag a little?
I
Am I supposed to brag a
I
little?
want you to brag as much as you can. Yes.
Okay, sweet. Um, well, I got I'm like not like physically prepared to like brag on myself. I'm like trying to work myself up to it.
You're too humble.
Um, uh, I have established a production company with a wide variety of clientele, all the way from bands with record deals to nonprofit organizations to private clients looking for, you know, a variety of uh, different services, like, whether it be family photos or wedding videography or anything of that nature. I mean, I've not only have I been working with private clients, but I've made my way into some connections with bigger organizations. I actually just sent off my first commercial as Knox Media
Wow.
to the television station, actually, for a client. I've done TV commercials before, as in a professional capacity for BISD,
Right.
but I actually sent my first commercial, done completely freelance, to 12 News yesterday. So that's sick.
That's incredible.
Um, and I've got a beautiful place out in Silsbee, Texas. I got a house that I own on a nice piece of property
Right.
on the water in Silsbee, Texas. Um, I got out of my 2003 Silverado and put myself in a nice new car. Wife's got a nice new car. Baby girl's taken care of. She's got all the toys that she could possibly ask for. Um, I feel like in the last year, I've really achieved that level of self-sufficiency that some people kind of, it's like you get one foot out of the door of your parents' house, um, and not everybody makes it all the way out,
Right.
you know, in a uh, in a timely manner. It's like some people still carry those ties to their parents. I can wholeheartedly say that I am completely self-sufficient now,
Mm.
you know,
Right.
and it also means something different whenever you have a wife and child.
Right.
I mean, it's different. You got, I mean, we're talking health insurance, car insurance,
Right.
doctor's visits, you know, um, making sure the little one has, nice new clothes and toys, and everybody's fed well, and we've got safe, nice, reliable cars, all that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I got the American dream out here, man. I got reliable cars. I got a warm place to sleep.
Right.
I got bills paid, family's taken care of, man, and I'm doing the work that I love to do. So, that is my crowning achievement, man. I went from a scared college kid who was about to have his first child, to not have no clue what I was going to do, no direction.
Yeah.
Um, working manual labor, working, 12-hour days,
Yeah.
feeding a newborn, trying to get through college, to, I've got an established career, dude. I've got an established production company, with you know a couple big time clients. I've got the stable job at BISD, and I'm I'm living in the beautiful countryside,
Yeah.
in a place that's, it's not luxurious, but man, it sure feels like home.
That's good.
You know,
That's all you
and
need.
that's that's, you know, uh, that's all I could ask for, man.
Yeah.
That's all I could ask for. And so it's, you know, and we're still building, but I feel like for 23, I I feel like you said earlier, I feel like you felt like you hit the cheat code, and I was like, sometimes I feel like I hit the cheat code.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm just, I'm just in awe of the life that we've established out here.
That's
I'm just,
incredible.
I've established myself, man. I put down my roots, and it feels good. It
That's
feels
incredible.
really good.
That's incredible. And so something we didn't spend a whole lot of time about, and we'll spend a little bit of time on this before we get into the closing questions. But something we didn't spend hardly any time about was people think that they can't find the love of their life in the hometown because they've gone to school with these people for 18 years, and you found the love of your life in your hometown, and you've had your first child. And so, what do you say to those people that say, I have to move away because the love of my life is out there. There's no way the love of my life is where I grew up. There's absolutely no way. How do you respond to that?
Man, who we could really do a whole nother podcast about that, because I'll give you some insight on that. I think that the young person's uh the young person's point of view of what a relationship should be, and what love should be, and what what they're looking for, is it's skewed.
Yeah,
It's heavily skewed. You know, the young person's idea these days of what um you know what a relationship means and what a relationship should be. I'm trying to think of a way to describe this. You know, my opinion on that is, you may not find, sure, maybe, okay, let me give you an example. Like, maybe you could go to Austin and you'll find that, like, perfect, like,
mm,
creative, like, extroverted, like, interesting,
right,
smart, intelligent girl that you've been looking for. Maybe you will find that. But love is not created by uh hitting check boxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, checking off qualities on a list. That's that's not how you find love. By deciding what your idea of the perfect partner is, and going out hunting down
right,
a person. Sure, I mean, obviously, you probably will have to go to a larger city if you've got this if you've
right,
got this running list in your head of qualities you want to see in the person that you want to love.
right.
Obviously, you're going to have to go do some searching, because that makes it pretty difficult um to you know to find somebody and not be disappointed,
Mm,
because you're setting yourself up to be disappointed, because no person is going to check all your boxes. No person is going to check all your boxes, and nobody's going to fit into your perfect mold. It's about this circles back to the idea of walking into a role versus building
right.
something. When you're in a small town, when you're in your hometown, you have to you may not find the like this idealistic, like, partner that you're looking for. It's just a I mean, it's really just kind of wishful thinking, man.
Wow.
You got to be ready to build something. Small town is about connections, and in the same way, you know, relate relationships in a small town, it's about connecting with
Right.
someone, and fostering a relationship, building a relationship with somebody, versus, like, just walking into something that's just, cookie cutter and perfect for you. And relationships like that are
Right.
cookie cutter and perfect, they don't last, dude. You don't you don't marry somebody and, live happily ever after by writing up a list of qualities that you want to see in another person, and then going out and finding that. Because I guarantee you, you don't know what you need. I guarantee you have no idea what you need. It'll find you. But you have to be ready to build with somebody. And that's exactly how uh it's exactly how I feel about my relationship is, I've we have built something great together. Um we have, find somebody that you can build with. Find someone. This is all about our buzzword today is build. Find somebody who you can build with. Build your perfect career, build your perfect career, build your perfect relationship, build your perfect life. Don't wait for somebody to hand it to you. Go out
Wow,
and build it.
Colby is dropping knowledge. Well, definitely big shout out to Taylor. Big shout out to your incredible daughter. I can see that they drive everything that you do, and I think that that's incredible.
Yeah, I just want to give my wife a shout out real quick. Shout out Taylor, I love you. She's
I
asleep
love
in the
it.
background. I love
I
her.
love it. That's awesome. Well, before we get into the closing questions, I know you wanted to. Before the show, you said you had some specific insight on this subject. Did you get to share it, or is there anything else that you want to share on this subject before we get into the closing questions of the show?
Um, I think I'm all dried up on this
Yeah.
topic. Let's
Let's
let's hit the
go.
next
Let's
one.
go. What's your final piece of advice for those people that are young adults and in their hometown? What's your final piece of advice for those people?
I would say I heard this the other day, and I think we've all heard it before, but you know, I think I looked at it in it made me look at it in a different way, the way that it was phrased. But um don't don't pretend. No, no, not don't pretend. Man, take opportunities when they're presented to you. Don't don't feel like you're better than any opportunity that's being offered
Mm,
to you. Pursue something that um don't just pursue the great things. Pursue all things. Pursue
so good.
opportunities as they present themselves. Expose yourself to new people and new things and new skills. And it's like you can work hard all you want, but a lot of success starts with, you know, where your where your goals lie. It's like if hard work is you moving forward in any given direction, goal setting is the compass. It's like you can run as fast as you want in any given direction. There's no guarantee that it's the right direction. There's no guarantee. And how do you figure out what is the
Right.
right direction? You try things. You try things. You take
Yeah.
risks. You explore new opportunities. And let you know if you pursue something and it's not headed in the direction that you thought or where you would like to go, well, guess what? You just you just helped yourself figure out you're this much closer to determining what is the correct direction. It's like you can pursue something and it can fail, and you're this much closer to determining what is the right way to do this. What is the right direction to head in? So, you know, run,
Mm.
man. Pick a direction and run. Don't don't walk.
I need to hear that
Hmm.
too. So that's really good. And so, as a young adult, Colby, what is something that you are still working on or trying to figure out?
Dude, uh long-term financial security.
Wow. Okay. Long term financial security. What does that look like?
Man, that looks like um, you know, this is but it's the ability to look forward to the future and make decisions that we're so used to making decisions that impact or benefit us in the present moment.
Right.
And I think it's the skill that you gain as you get older to make decisions that don't necessarily pay off in the moment,
Yeah.
and it may not pay off for a long time. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I still am working on every day. I mean,
Right.
I try to remind myself to take it slow. It's like, okay, man, like you've done a lot in the last 2 years. Let's maybe not stress over the details. Okay. Like I have to tell myself that a lot. Let's not stress so much over the details yet. You just got here. You got a long way
Right.
to go. But it's something that I try to impress upon myself is like, okay, we've got the present moment handled. We know what the day to day is, but what does the future look like, and how do I prepare for it? And I think that having that level of foresight is hard for young people. It's not
Right.
something. It's something that you learn. You you can't just you can't just explain to someone how to be
Sure.
that way. You learn not being prepared. I think as an adult, that's how to be prepared for things to come, to not be blindsided by stuff. That's part of becoming an adult. And you have to you have to screw some stuff up, like experience some situations where you weren't prepared, you
Yeah.
didn't put enough forethought into how you prepared for it, and it maybe didn't work out so great. It's like you have to fail a little bit here and there to really impress upon yourself, like, okay, I need to have plans and safety nets in place for long-term stability. When life really starts to throw you for a loop, or unexpected things
Right.
happen, you have to be prepared. And it's that's something that I'm still learning. And I don't know what my but I do know that I want to be prepared for it, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, last question of the show, where can people learn more about you and your business? Where can I go find that information?
Check me out on YouTube, Knox Media on YouTube. Check me out on Facebook, Colby Knox Media, or just Knox Media. You'll see my face, Colby Knox,
Yes.
right there on front. You can check out my work. Check me out on Instagram too. I'm not gonna lie, I've really been slacking on the Knox Media Instagram page, but check out my personal account because I've been posting tons and tons of cool photography content,
Yeah.
mostly just for fun. Um, but it overlaps directly with my work with Knox Media. I mean, a lot of the lines are blurred between like my personal work and my professional work.
Right.
When it comes to the stuff that I do. So Colb period Y, Colby on Instagram. Check me out.
Nice.
But go visit my Facebook page, smash that like button. Check out some of the stuff that I made. I got tons of cool videos. You can check out cool photography. Um, you know, you don't have to get on my Facebook page just to. A lot of it is just enjoyable to look at. I got a lot of cool stuff
Yeah.
to sort through. So if you're ever bored, you want to take a look at some of my work. Oh, my demo reel is out on YouTube now. Go check it
Yeah.
out. All my work from the past year turned into a compilation. Not 21, 22 Knox Media demo reel. It's on YouTube. Go check me out.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's all I got.
Nice, nice. Well, go over and check out Knox Media. He's got some incredible content. You're going to want to see it. And also, go smash my follow button at How to Adult TW on Facebook and Instagram. You need to do that. You need to share this content. We just learned so much about staying in your hometown, about business, about love. We learned all the things from Colby Knox. And so this is an incredible episode. So you're gonna want to share it to all those people that are still in their hometown. It is okay. You can succeed. It takes motivation and it takes work. With all that being said, y'all, we are going to learn how to adult together.